In today's episode, Margaret asks, a friend of mine is looking to hire a director of digital marketing, hoping to expand an existing company and their online presence, optimization, customer reach. What are some of the absolute musts for a job posting, and what would you consider overkill? Well, there's a lot of stuff in there, right? Online presence, optimization, customer reach. With any kind of hire, with any kind of job, start with the outcome. What are they expected to generate? Like, online presence is kind of an amorphous concept, right? Like, yes, we have online presence. Well, great. How do you measure that? What are the KPIs, the key performance indicators, that this person will be responsible for? What will get them a bonus or what will get them fired? That's going to be key to making a good hire. If you know with clarity what it is that this person is ultimately responsible for at the end of the day, then you can make that part of the job description, right? You say, we expect you, director, to generate 2,000 qualified leads per year by whatever legal means necessary, right? If you have that KPI, then it becomes much easier to figure out, okay, what are the skills and what are the tools and techniques that you have available to you that would allow you to do that. So, for example, you say you're required to generate 2,000 leads per year, and we are a company that is a Salesforce.com company, and we have Salesforce Pardot and Salesforce Marketing Cloud and all this good stuff, right? Now the job description is actually pretty clear, right? You've got to be able to generate leads. You'll have a target of, however many, and you'll be managing a team of 3 people to achieve that goal. And traditionally in the past, the company has used email marketing and social media or whatever. But a really key consideration here is that if you start with the goal, if you start with the KPI, then as long as you set the parameters, like this is our marketing tech stack, you don't have to list every single, possible job duty on the job description. Instead, you list the goal, you list the tech stack, and you say when you come in for an interview or when you respond to this posting, tell us how you would do this. Tell us how you would generate 2,000 leads per year. Show us examples of lead generation that you've done in the past, and that will give the hiring manager a lot of insight into, well, this is how this person's going to do the job. The last director I hired, the big pain point for me and the big responsibility for the job was managing a team, right? Managing a team well and getting the team to perform well. And they did. The director I hired didn't have a responsibility for lead generation because that was my job. But the part that I desperately needed help with was managing the team. So when that job posting went up and when the job search was going on, that was the lens through which we were focused and were able to make a really good hire. If you try and throw every single thing in the job description, every possible hat this person could wear, you'll run into 2 things. One, you will get a job description that is very unfocused and will probably be a turnoff to a lot of people because, as David Maister says, we put a little list of everything here so that it communicates clearly we are good at nothing. And 2, that's going to really bump up the cost of the candidate, right? Because you're going to weed out candidates who may or may not have every single skill. And those people who are qualified, are going to be very expensive because you're going to need them to do everything if you read the job description carefully. If, on the other hand, the job description is highly focused, your job is demand generation, or your job is audience growth. And that is the key priority for this position and what this position will be doing. We all understand, everybody understands that, yes, jobs can change over time. Positions, needs, corporate priorities, those things change over time. But if you are, and your organization is willing to commit time and money and effort to hire a full-time person, whatever that person's responsible for has got to be a pretty big priority. Otherwise, you would have probably outsourced it or hired a contractor or an agency to handle it if it was just a shorter-term need or was not a strategic priority that was literally the bread and butter of the company. You hire and go through all the commensurate difficulty of hiring for the things that are the highest priority. So what is that highest priority? Be a good partner to the candidate too. Like I said, ask them, how would you solve this? How will you approach this? How will you do this job? If the goal is crystal clear, you must generate 2,000 leads. Tell us how you're going to do that. Assume you have a small budget. Assume you have not nearly as many staff as you would like. Assume that you can't change the technology stack, even though that may or may not be true. How would you, within those constraints, do the job? And that will give you a tremendous amount of insight into the candidate, how they think, how they solve problems. The other challenge you will get with a job description that's overly broad is you will get some candidates who, how do I put this nicely? They talk a good talk, but they can't walk the walk. And when the job description is so scattered, they can fake it in the interview and the responses. Oh yeah, well here's my experience with this and with this and with this and with this and with this, and because the job description is so broad, it sounds like they've got the goods when in fact they don't. They have their knowledge is a mile wide and a centimeter deep. If on the other hand, the job description is generate 2,000 leads a year, it becomes real clear whether somebody has the experience to do that, or they start throwing up red flags every year, everywhere. Like, well, I would need a team of 12 to do this, or my last job I had managed a team of 15 people, and you start listening to this person go, well, what did you do exactly? Well, I managed this and this and this. Like, okay, great, you're a good manager if you can get the results. But if there's a component to the job that is essential to that KPI, and it sounds like that person doesn't have the skill to do that particular task, that will come out more easily if the job description is highly focused rather than a broad scattered mess. Especially if the people doing the interviewing do not have the subject matter expertise that they should in that particular task, which makes sense. It's what you're hiring for, right? But you want to be focused so that your BS detectors work better. When you press somebody, okay, well, 2,000 leads a year. What do your first 90 days look like? What happens at first 90 days? Because that's a quarter, right? Yeah, that's 500 leads. How are you going to generate 500 leads in your first 90 days? You'll get some interesting answers. And you'll very quickly get someone to realize, ooh, this is a tough challenge. Or they may say, here's what we do. We immediately look at everything that is in the sales pipeline is abandoned, but we do some retargeting to immediately try and get some easy wins. What does your email marketing program look like? When was the last? How often do you send out a newsletter? You don't send out a newsletter? Great, we're starting one tomorrow. Right? You start to get very clear responses. So that's how you tackle this. Be focused about the KPIs, and you will get a much easier time with the job description and with the hiring. If you have follow-up questions on this, please leave them in the comments box below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and the newsletter. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Want help solving your company's data, analytics, and digital marketing problems? Visit trustinsights.ai today and let us know how we can help you.